You ever looked around and noticed just how weird Peach's castle is? I mean, like, it's so big and empty with all these rooms. Like, what's this room for? And what's this room for? What's this room for? Like, I don't know if this is how castles back in the day were constructed. And I certainly don't understand why Peach has 3 different copies of 2 different paintings throughout her castle. Like, what's up with that? I get we're probably not supposed to be trusting the monarchy here, right? But at the same time, it's giving me vibes like Peach might have a few extra skeletons in her closet that we might need to investigate. One quick thing before we move on. We need to investigate why you haven't hit the sub button yet. Go ahead and click it. It helps me out a ton. Thanks. Let's get back to the video. So the first question that we need to answer is, what are the paintings in her castle, right? If they're just regular paintings, then that leads down one path that we'll get to. And if there's something else, if there's some sort of live shadow box thing, then that means something completely different, and I'm very interested to see where that goes. But we'll get to that. First and foremost, let's just assume that these are just regular paintings, all right? Now, if these are regular paintings that Peach went out and bought or commissioned, what the heck are they of? Just some bombs in a field, a couple snowmen, a boat? I mean, the boat's kind of cool. I get that one. But the rest of these, I think that it's pretty, especially because she has multiple copies of some of these, I think it's pretty clear that she's committing some kind of high-level tax fraud at a very minimum, okay? That means that she's hiring friends to either make the paintings, or she's hiring somebody else, an art guru, or whatever you call them, to determine how much the painting is worth. And at that point, she buys the painting, and then she tells the government, hey, this is how much that painting is worth. And then she gets to write that amount off on her taxes. So this is most likely what is happening. I mean, I guess without all of the magic, the fact that Mario can jump into the paintings is probably what's going on. It's also, admittedly, the most boring explanation for anything that's happening in this very weird castle, to say the least. Did we talk about that? Did we talk about how weird this place is? Like, really? I know we mentioned that these are some strange rooms, but like, why is the castle? Where does she rule? Where does she sleep? What's up with the fact that there's no furniture anywhere? Like, I mean, did she just move in? Is she just about to move out? Like, I mean, the idea is that Mario was coming here for a cake, right? Which you would expect there to be people there, and I mean, a kitchen, right? Or something like that. But I mean, that just kind of all plays into the whole fact that this is weird. I'm still focusing on the paintings, but I just don't want it to be lost on us, the fact that this place is all around quite strange, to say the very least. All right, so let's talk about the second idea, and that is that these paintings are not just paintings, but instead they're little shadow boxes. Have you guys ever been to the Chicago Museum? They got these weird little shadow boxes with the cool little scenes inside of them where you can look inside of them, you can kind of see, like, you know, a little guy doing something, or a little, you know, old house way back in the day, something like that. And it's cool, right? Because you get a little glimpse, a little snapshot into a little microcosm of the bigger whole, right? So, for example, bringing it back to Mario, the bomb on Battlefield is like a snapshot of a battlefield. Okay, so Peach is now a menagerie collector of some sorts and is collecting wartime scenes and, like, has captured people and things to kind of walk around and act out this whole scene for, you know, ad infinitum, essentially. You know, this actually reminds me of one of my favorite stories. I know most people are really familiar with Disney just for his cartoons and obviously, you know, Disneyland, Disney World and all that. Did you know that Epcot was actually, before it was Epcot and Disney World, it was actually supposed to be a little city for his employees to live in. So they would get free transportation to the places that they needed to be for work and all that. But he wanted so much control that he actually wanted to pick what would be inside of their refrigerators. It was a rotating schedule, and this way, you know, if one person was there for too long, I'm sure that they wouldn't be able to bear it, right? And that was, I'm sure Disney was aware of this, and that's why he only wanted people to be in Epcot for so long. He wanted people to rotate in and out. is this kind of the same thing to maybe what Peach is doing? I mean, it could be, right? Peach could be doing the same thing here, right? These might be her employees. She might have created these little getaways. Maybe she's captured. Maybe she's, the classic princess in a tower, and she is trying to make it fun. She's trying to make it livable. And by making it livable, she's hired a whole bunch of hands and little actors, if you will, and they're reminding her of the places in her childhood. Totally could be. I think we're going somewhere actually with this. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but I do want to point out the fact that Princess Peach definitely knows that these paintings can be jumped into. And we know this because of the secret slide. The level, Princess Peach's secret slide, you jump into the stained glass window on the right here, and then boom, you're in her slide, right? It's called that because it's her slide. So she made the slide. She knows it's behind a painting, and therefore we know that she's in on this. This isn't something that she's just kind of, thrust into, but she's thrusting it onto others, right? This is part of the build of the castle. Okay, so we've talked about the slide. We've talked about Bonbon Battlefield being probably, maybe even the place of, Princess Peach's dad's victory. I mean, he's the king, right? So I guess, he won a battle and he wants to have a memory of it. So he's building a little shadow box, little menagerie there. The snowman's land, I mean, I don't really know. Maybe that was just a fun place that she made up, or maybe it's a place that she went to as a child and wants to go back to again. But this doesn't really explain some of the lower level ones, right? Hazy Maze Cave doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and neither does the fiery one. I kind of think that one's the creepiest one by far. Maybe this one just kind of snuck in. This one really goes back to more of the tax fraud. It makes me really feel like this is tax fraud because, I mean, who would put this inside of their house? I mean, even some sort of crazy monarch. Well, I guess monarchs have been known to do kind of crazy things and paint themselves in crazy ways. But that's, I mean, my point is that I don't really know why you would want to have a shadow box as something like this, especially if you were actively engaging with it regularly. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So anyway, my point through all of this is to try to point out that I think that Peach has a little bit more to her, especially in this game, that isn't ever explained. None of this is explained. Mario just kind of goes with it, right? That's just expected that that you can jump into the painting. It's just expected that that you can do all of this. And Peach never really seems to be weird about it. Mario never seems to be weird about it. All the toads that you are talking to, I mean, even the characters inside of the paintings seem rather like they're fine with it. In fact, this is something that they don't even seem to really know. They don't even really aware. So that either means one of two things. Either they're fantastic actors, paid really well, or they're terrified of the king. Perhaps. I mean, that's it. Or they just don't know. Maybe they're just, animations inside of the imagination of this painting. Could be one or the other. I mean, what do you think? I don't, yeah. So, to wrap all this up, Peach certainly has some things to explain that just aren't explained. Regardless of any kind of in-canon universe, either she is a massive tax cheat, which, I mean, I don't think that we should be... I mean, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? If you try to get, rip off the government, taxation's theft, I'm all for that. But also, I mean, she's a monarch. She's like, she's a role model. You'd think that she has to be kind of above board with these things, especially if she wants to continue to rule. She kind of has to play along with the game. Probably not a very good look if she's explicitly trying to game the system. And it certainly looks like, at a very minimum, she's trying to game the system. Now, if she's just instead created a whole bunch of Shadowbox Menagerie type worlds for her to just play around in, I'd say she has to stand in front of probably some kind of jury of her peers at a very minimum. I think that that's crazy. Definitely needs some explaining. She has a lot of explaining to do. That's all I'm saying. And until she explains, I'm probably not going to be playing her, at least in Mario Kart, until I get some answers. So if you do have some answers, feel free to drop them. Thanks for going on this journey with me, and I'll see you next time.